Module 1, Section 1. Will, Insight, and Action, Part 1. As discussed in the introduction, holy ideas are essential perspectives to see reality. From the perspectives of holy ideas, we can effectively experience essential qualities. Many of these essential qualities have specific colors, and some people can literally see these colors during spiritual practice. For example, the essential quality of strength can be seen as red. In the Zeptoform theory, holy ideas are called essential ideas. But holy ideas and essential ideas are not exactly the same, as we will see. In this figure, we can see essential ideas of 6 enneatypes. They are categorized into 3 major essential ideas. These are will, action, and insight. First of all, we discuss essential insight. That is the essential idea of both Type 4 and Type 5. The former is origin, and the latter is omniscience. From the perspective of essential insight, the following essential qualities tend to be experienced. Blue is described by Almas in the following way.
Blue is usually called the aspect of pure consciousness, but it is also the aspect of knowingness. Even intellectual knowledge is based on this capacity.
The blue essence, which is pure consciousness, is experienced in the center of the head. Black, which is also called shining black, is the essence of intuition. That is experienced at the forehead, at the 6th chakra. The diamond guidance, which is higher intellect, is the essence of analysis and integration. That is experienced at the forehead, the same as black. It functions as a guide for revealing the truth. The insight of the diamond guidance enables us to integrate other essential aspects to create the diamond structure. For example, when the blue essence is integrated by the diamond guidance, the blue diamond of the guidance emerges. The experience of the blue diamond is different from that of blue. When we experience the blue diamond, the recognition of blue becomes precise and clearer, and thus we can integrate blue with other essential aspects. Among many essential aspects, the black essence is especially important for the function of the diamond guidance. When the black essence is integrated by the diamond guidance, the black diamond of the guidance emerges. Almas said,
"The precision of the black diamond gives insight and understanding. When the black diamond dominates the functioning of the diamond guidance, it embodies the power of cutting through. All the diamonds have the quality of cutting through lies and concepts, however, this capacity attains its full power with the black diamond. The direct awareness of the operation of the diamond guidance does not occur until the subtle perceptual capacities of black begin to function."
In Buddhism, the diamond wisdom is called Vajra. And the Buddha is considered to be Type 5 by many Enneagram teachers. Violet is the essence of aesthetic sensitivity and sensibility. This essential color is mentioned very little in the diamond approach. Black is the essence of intuition, as discussed previously. In the Zeptoform theory, black is also called ultraviolet, which is invisible light, and thus it can be seen as black. The point, which is also called essential self, or essential identity, is the core of awakening to the true self. Sandra Maitri said,
"The actual experience is sometimes of being a shining star, a point of light, emerging out of the vast blackness of space."
The point is experienced as a point of light, as described. This point of light can be experienced at various times throughout our lives, creating a sense of many points. When we connect these points, the thread of light emerges as a lifeline. That is, the point is transformed into the thread. Various experiences in our lives are connected to one essential meaning, which is the meaning of our true identity.
The point diamond.
When the inside of the point is integrated into the inside of the diamond guidance, the point diamond emerges. The inside of the point diamond enables us to recognize any diamond structure as our essential identity. In order to experience the point diamond effectively, the perspective of origin needs to be integrated into the perspective of omniscience. Almas described the difference between omniscience and origin in the following way.
Holy omniscience refers to the horizontal oneness, and holy origin refers to the vertical oneness. Holy omniscience eliminates the sense of boundaries or separateness between things, and holy origin eliminates the sense of separateness between things and their source, which is the origin. Holy omniscience is the absence of disconnection on the same level, while holy origin is the absence of disconnection between levels.
When the perspective omniscience integrates the perspective of origin, both the horizontal and vertical boundaries become transparent. In this realization, the point diamond can be fully functioning. Almas said.
The point is experienced as part of the diamond guidance. The diamond guidance is a structure of many different colorful diamond qualities, in the center of which is the point. The diamond structure focuses there.
In the teachings of Ichaso, essential insight is called holy transparency. It is the insight to see through boundaries, the boundaries become transparent. In the teachings of Ichaso, the holy transparency does not include the holy idea of type 4. But, in the Zeptoform theory, it includes both omniscience and origin. As already discussed, the insight of omniscience, which is the insight of type 5, enables us to make vertical boundaries transparent. On the other hand, the insight of origin, which is the insight of type 4, enables us to make horizontal boundaries transparent. Next, we discuss essential will. That is the essential idea of both type 1 and type 2. The former is perfection, and the latter is affection. From the perspective of essential will, the following essential qualities tend to be experienced. Brilliancy, of type 1, is the essence of intelligence. It is related to the awakening of the 7th chakra, the highest level energy center. Many aspects of essence have specific colors. But brilliancy is clear light. It includes the wavelength range of all colors, and thus represents perfection. Almas described this essential aspect in the following way.
When you experience brilliancy, you feel complete, in the sense that all essential aspects are present but not differentiated. We can say that it is the source out of which all essential aspects differentiate. That is why in the past I used to call brilliancy the essence of the essence. Brilliancy is frequently related to God's will.
Pink, or magenta, of type 2, is the most basic essential aspect of love, which brings about the feeling of linking to someone. It is also called fluffy love. Honey gold, which is also called merging gold, or merging love, is another aspect of love. Almas described this essential aspect in the following way.
It is like a delicate clear honey-like flow, as if the sun is shining through the delicate honey.
As discussed, pink, or magenta, is also called fluffy love. And honey gold is also called merging love. The former, which is fluffy love, brings about the feeling of linking to someone. On the other hand, the latter, which is merging love, brings about the feeling of merging with someone, especially a beloved baby. Amber gold and honey gold can be described in the following way. In the Zeptoform theory, gold is considered to be the essence of value, and it has two aspects, amber gold and honey gold. The former is the essence of type 1, and the latter is the essence of type 2. Amber, which signifies fossilized tree resin, represents amber-like firmness. On the other hand, honey represents honey-like fluidity. The former, which is firmness, is related to the value of completeness and perfection, and the latter, which is fluidity, is related to the value of growth and nurturance. Perfection, which is the perspective of type 1, is intrinsically related to the quality of value. That is, when we see something as lacking, incomplete, not perfect, it lowers the value of the object. On the other hand, affection, which is the perspective of type 2, supports the process of growth to perfection. Type 1 and type 2 are superego types, and Almas said.
For most people, value is the value of the superego.
That is, the core function of the superego is judging good and bad, and that is intrinsically related to one's value system. Value is intrinsically related to the meaning of our lives, and that is related to the function of willpower. Both type 1 and type 2 are willpower types, and they tend to make value judgments, using the function of their superego.
Note.
Unlike the Zeptoform theory, in the diamond approach, gold is not considered to be the essence of value. That will be discussed later. In the teachings of Ichaso, essential will is called holy will. However, it does not include the holy idea of type 1, which is holy perfection. But, unlike the teachings of Ichaso, according to Almas, perfection, which is the holy idea of type 1, is considered to be the intellectual aspect of holy will. In the teachings of Ichaso, the holy idea of type 2 is called freedom. But, in the Zeptoform theory, it is changed to affection. The reason will be discussed later. Finally, we discuss essential action. That is the essential idea of both type 7 and type 8. The former is plan and freedom, and the latter is strength. From the perspective of essential action, the following essential qualities tend to be experienced. The action of type 7 brings about the flexible action, flying in the sky. On the other hand, the action of type 8 brings about the firm substantive action, grounding to the earth. The perspective of the plan of type 7 enables us to tap into the flow of life, experiencing the essence of joy and curiosity. Yellow is the essence of joy and curiosity, which can be the motivation to explore the unknown, the truth. The perspective of the strength of type 8 enables us to sense indivisible energetic now, experiencing the essence of strength. Red is the essence of strength. It makes us afraid of nothing, and thus we can be defenseless, bold enough to be open. Orange is the essence of luscious pleasure. It is related to the fusion between yellow and red. That is, luscious pleasure is the fusion between joy and physical vitality. Yellow is related to the third chakra. Orange is related to the second chakra. And red is related to the first chakra. The main method of the diamond approach is called inquiry. The function of yellow aspect in inquiry is described by Almas in the following way.
Curiosity, which is a delight in discovering the truth, is one expression of the yellow aspect. When this quality is present, openness manifests an engaged dynamism, which can then become an active inquiry.
The experience of point 7, which is joy and curiosity, is supported by the experience of point 8, which is strength. Almas said,
Joyfulness of yellow needs another capacity. Not only does inquiry need to be playful and curious, but this curiosity needs to be supported and balanced by a strong energy of red, that gives our soul, and thus our inquiry, the capacity to withstand a great deal of pressure. These two essential qualities are fundamental for beginning to engage the inquiry process.
Type 1 is the most stoic and rigid type of all the Enia types, restricting his own freedom. He has a tendency to suppress the function of instincts. But, by experiencing the following processes, he can experience freedom. In the process from point 1 to point 7, the pleasure instinct of the id is released in the following way, as described by Riso and Hudson.
One's progress from obligation to enthusiasm, from constraint to freedom of action, more playful, and much happier. A great burden has been lifted from them, the burden of unnecessary perfection. They discover that it is possible for them to be flexible. Integrating ones have come down from Olympus to join the human race.
Because the quality of point 7 is related to the freedom of action, the holy idea of type 7 is described by Almas in the following way.
As we study the holy idea of point 7, what we mean by freedom of the assemblage point, which is the freedom that all spiritual traditions attempt to teach us, should become very clear.
The holy idea of type 7 is called holy plan. On the other hand, in the Zeptoform theory, it is called essential plan and freedom. That is, essential plan is not a fixed plan, which will be discussed from many different perspectives in this video series. In the teachings of Ichaso, holy freedom is considered to be the holy idea of type 2, which is also called holy will. That is, in his teachings, will and freedom are considered to be in the same category. On the other hand, in the Zeptoform theory, essential will and essential freedom are considered to be different aspects. For example, in the process from point 1 to point 7, the will of point 1 and the freedom of point 7 are connected. Then, from this connection, the dynamic flow of free will and free action will emerge. In this process, unnecessary restrictions, which are caused by the willpower of point 1, are eliminated. As we can see, will and freedom are different aspects of reality. In order to integrate the willpower of type 1 and the action power of type 7, the insight of type 5 is required, as illustrated. Furthermore, as discussed previously, the freedom of point 7 needs to be supported by the strength of point 8. Therefore, the process toward point 8 is required, as illustrated. In this process, the action power of beast is released in a constructive way. Then, the action power of point 8 and that of point 7 are integrated with the willpower of point 1 by the insight of point 5, as illustrated. Similar to type 1, type 2 tends to restrict the freedom of her inner beast. She has a tendency to cover up her own beast-like quality. Therefore, in order for type 2 to experience true freedom, the beast must be released and embraced. As already discussed, the essential idea of type 7 and type 8 are called essential action. In the teachings of Ichaso, essential action is called holy work. and it does not include the holy idea of type 8 as illustrated. The holy idea of type 8 is called truth. But, in the Zeptoform theory, it is called strength. The reason will be discussed later. As we have seen in this section, the 6 Enia types can be divided into the following 3 groups: will, insight, and action. The function of will is related to Freud's idea of the superego, which embodies the will of morality. Type 1 tends to have a strong paternal superego, which is related to authority and judgmental decision-making. On the other hand, type 2 tends to have a strong maternal superego, which is related to philanthropy and supportive decision-making. The function of action is related to Freud's idea of the id, which embodies action based on instinctive desire. Type 7 tends to have hyperactive thoughts and makes many plans for various actions to satisfy their pleasure instincts. On the other hand, type 8 tends to act aggressively, in order to satisfy their combative instincts.
Willpower versus action power.
Type 1 has the strongest willpower among all the Enia types, while type 8 has the strongest action power, which can support the free action of type 7. Many people think that willpower and action power are the same, or at least proportional within one person. But they can be inversely proportional. For example, the willpower of the superego tends to restrict the action power of the id. In this relationship, as willpower weakens, the activity of action power gets stronger. Related to this, Sandra Maitri described the relationship between the superego and the id in the following way.
The superego draws its energy from the id, and in turn, uses that force to suppress the id's drives. As long as our superego usurps the energy of aggression from the id and turns it against ourselves, we do not have that energy available to us in a life-affirming way. Our energy instead goes into suppressing ourselves, especially the primitive and uncivilized aspects of ourselves, structured as identity in the animal soul.
As we can see, the willpower of the superego tends to use the vitality of the id in order to fight against the free action of the id. In order to bring the balance between willpower and action power, the function of insight is required. The function of insight is related to Freud's idea of the ego, which embodies insight for integrating the will of the superego and the action of the id. Type 5 tends to develop an intellectual aspect of the ego, relating to scientific insight. On the other hand, Type 4 tends to develop an aesthetic aspect of the ego, relating to artistic insight. As discussed, the function of insight is related to the function of the ego, and it has the following 2 main definitions. Definition 1, the ego has the core function of distinguishing oneself from others. Type 4 and Type 5 are ego types. Related to this, Riso and Hudson describe these types in the following way.
The 4 and the 5 most clearly feel separate from others. They reinforce their sense of self by staying apart and being different. They turn to the inner world of their imagination to defend their egos and to reinforce their sense of self.
Especially, Type 4 tends to value her originality or uniqueness of the ego identity. Definition 2, the ego has the core function of integrating the superego and the id. That is, the insight of the ego integrates the willpower of the superego and the action power of the id, in order to create a coherent sense of self. In this figure, the will of point 2 and the action of point 8 are integrated by the insight of point 4. In this figure, the will of point 1 and the action of point 7 are integrated by the insight of point 5. These integrations will be discussed in the next section. As already discussed, Enia types can be divided into will, insight, and action. They can also be divided into thinking, feeling, and instinct. These are called the 3 centers. Each center has 3 types, and 2 of them have opposite tendencies, as indicated by the out and the in. The out and the in of the 3 centers can be illustrated as 3 layers, as illustrated. These 3 layers with the 6 types will be analyzed from here.
Extroversion and introversion.
Extroversion versus introversion is one of the big 5 personality traits. The out and in of each center indicate extrovert and introvert. Archetypal type 7 is an extroverted thinking type, and archetypal type 5 is an introverted thinking type. The same pattern can be seen in the feeling center. That is, archetypal type 2 is an extroverted feeling type, and archetypal type 4 is an introverted feeling type. But, in the instinctive center, this pattern is violated. That is, although Archetypal type 8 is the extroverted instinctive type. Archetypal type 1 is not an introverted instinctive type. It will be discussed, step by step. Type 1 tends to have a strong moral sense, and tends to suppress his instinctive desire inwardly. Therefore, the tendency of type 1 is indicated by in relation to instinct. However, the function of type 1, is different from that of type 5 and type 4. That is, unlike type 5 and type 4, type 1 does not utilize the function of its own center. Type 1 has the tendency to suppress his instinctive desire. And, this suppression is caused by the thinking function. Because of this, according to many Enneagram teachers, such as Riso, Hudson, and Naranjo, type 1 is categorized as a thinking type of Jungian typology. Therefore, point 1 goes up to the thinking level, as illustrated. An instinctive type has the tendency to utilize or prioritize the function of instinct. But, type 1 tends to suppress it, by the thinking function. Therefore, by definition, type 1 is not an instinctive type. The out and in of the instinctive center metaphorically symbolize the relationship between beast and God. Related to this, Helen Palmer described this relationship in the following way.
If there's such a thing as Enneagram opposites, this is it. 1s are right because they're good, and if they're not right, they feel guilty. 8s are right because they're bad. It's good to be bad. Bad is lawless and free and exciting. 1s teach 8s about limits and boundaries. 8s teach 1s to go for what they want.
Plato, Confucius, Mahatma Gandhi, and Pope John Paul II are considered to be type 1. On the other hand, Saddam Hussein and Fidel Castro are considered to be type 8. Incidentally, being a type 8 does not necessarily mean being a bad person. There are many great people who are type 8, as we will see later. There is another modification. The thinking pattern of type 1 is moralistically social, and this sociality brings about characteristics of extroversion. Therefore, in terms of extrovert and introvert, point 1 belongs to extrovert. Related to this, according to many Enneagram specialists, such as Riso, Hudson, and Naranjo, type 1 is an extroverted thinking type of Jungian personality typology.
Note:
As discussed, according to many Enneagram teachers, type 1 is considered to be an extroverted type. However, according to some psychological research, type 1 tends to be an introverted type. This contradiction will be discussed in Module 5. In that module, we will find the correlation between Enneatypes and Jungian types. Module 1, Section 2, Will, Insight, and Action, Part 2. When 1 is divided by 7, we get 0.142857, and it repeats. This recurring decimal, 142857, represents disintegration processes. Then, why do we have to divide 1 by 7? The recurring decimal begins with 1, and this number indicates oneness of all existence. On the other hand, the recurring decimal ends with 7, which is the number of basic elements for creating diversity. For example, 1 week is divided into 7 days, a diatonic scale is composed of 7 musical notes, a body has 7 basic chakras, and the Zeptoform has 7 basic points. That is, in order to create diversity, the oneness, which is 1, needs to be divided by the number of basic elements, which is 7.
Note 1.
1 year is divided into 12 months. But, number 12, is not considered to be a number of basic elements for creating diversity, for the following reason. Number 12 is not a prime number. It is a composite number. A prime number is greater than 1, and it cannot be divided by any other positive integers, without leaving a remainder, decimal, or fraction. Therefore, prime numbers are considered to be building blocks by mathematicians. Number 7 is a prime number, because it can be divided by only 1 in itself. On the other hand, composite numbers, such as 10 and 12, are seen as the product of prime numbers. Therefore, number 12 is not considered to be a basic number for creating diversity.
Note 2.
The next prime number to number 7 is number 11. The meaning of number 11 will be discussed later in this section. By reversing these disintegration processes, integration processes emerge. These integration processes are divided into 3 categories. In the left figure, 2 processes are moving toward the function of will. In the center figure, 2 processes are moving toward the function of insight. And in the right figure, Two processes are moving toward the function of action. The meaning of these processes becomes clearer when these are illustrated on the structure of the zeptoform. These processes are ascending, deepening, and retrieving. Ascending processes are the processes to enhance the function of an upper level. Deepening processes are the processes to deepen insight. That is the process from extroversion to introversion. Retrieving processes are the processes to reconnect to a lower level. However, in this figure, the process from point 1 to point 7 is not moving toward a lower level. This exception can be explained in the following way. The thinking pattern of type 1 has the tendency to suppress his instinctive desire of the lower level. On the other hand, the thinking pattern of type 7 has the tendency to release it. Because of this, in the process from point 1 to point 7, type 1 will be able to release the dynamic flow of instinctive nature. That is experienced as the retrieving of the function of the id. The connection between thinking and doing, of type 7, is described by Riso and Hudson in the following way.
There is a powerful link in sevens between their thinking and their doing. If they entertain an idea about an activity which they believe will be interesting and enjoyable, they want to do it as soon as possible. Ultimately, their minds are speeding along about 2 steps ahead of them, and they are moving fairly quickly. Additional processes.
There is the system of cell division, in which a pattern starts from 1 and continues by doubling the previous number. It creates the sequence of 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and so on. Then, these numbers will be converted into single-digit numbers, as illustrated. For example, number 16 can be seen as 1 plus 6, which is 7. Number 32 can be seen as 3 plus 2, which is 5. Number 64 can be seen as 6 plus 4, which is 10. And 10 can be seen as 1 plus 0, which is 1. And so on. As we can see, the same pattern, which is 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, and 5, repeats. On the structure of the Enneagram, this pattern creates geometrical symmetry, as illustrated. Each cycle has 6 numbers. Then, by dividing 6 by 11, we can get 0.545454, and it repeats. This algorithmic pattern can be added to the Enneagram, as illustrated. That is, there is the bidirectional process between point 5 and point 4. Then, why do we need to divide the 6 elements by 11? According to a theory of everything, which will be discussed in Module 3, this universe is made of 11 dimensions of spacetime. Beyond 11 dimensions, the universe would become unstable, and thus, the higher dimensions would collapse to the 11-dimensional spacetime. That is represented by the number 11, which is a prime number. In this figure, we can see 6 additional processes, which are not included in the traditional Enneagram theory. These 6 processes can be divided into 3 categories, as illustrated. In the left figure, 2 processes are moving toward the thinking center. In the center figure, 2 processes are moving toward the doing center. And in the right figure, 2 processes are moving toward the feeling center. The meaning of these processes becomes clearer when these are illustrated on the structure of the zeptoform. These processes are ascending, practicalizing, and retrieving. As we can see in this figure, there is no additional deepening process. Instead, there are 2 practicalization processes. Now, to this figure, previously discussed processes are added. As we can see in this figure, a practicalizing process can also be categorized as an ascending process or a retrieving process. The process from point 4 to point 8, as well as the process from point 5 to point 8, is a practicalizing process, as well as a retrieving process. On the other hand, the process from point 4 to point 1, as well as the process from point 5 to point 1, is a practicalizing process, as well as an ascending process. However, although the process from point 5 to point 1 is an ascending process, it is not moving upward to a higher level. The position of point 1 can be shifted to an upper level, as illustrated. In this way, the process from point 5 to point 1 can be seen as an ascending process. The meaning of this position shift will mainly be discussed in the next module. In this figure, we can see 4 ascending processes. When these ascending processes are reversed, retrogressing processes emerge, as illustrated. In the process from point 7 to point 8, As well as the process from point 2 to point 8, the retrogression to the beast level happens, becoming aggressive like a beast. Type 2 has a tendency to cover up her beast-like quality by her angel-like affection. But, in the process from point 2 to point 8, the willpower of point 2 begins to utilize the action power of point 8 in a destructive way. She becomes aggressive as she fails to cover up her inner beast. Riso and Hudson describe this process in the following way.
Because 2s repress many of their negative and aggressive feelings, the move to 8 can be seen as a way of acting them out. The movement toward 8 here is indicative of a failure to keep the lid on any longer. A deeply neurotic 2 at 8 can become physically violent, even murderous. The self-sacrificial martyr, the suffering saint, becomes a monster, sacrificing others.
As described by Riso and Hudson, in the process from point 2 to point 8, the distorted affectional will of type 2, and the beast-like aggressive action of type 8, are connected. On the other hand, the process from point 2 to point 4, is considered to be an integration process. In this process, the willpower of point 2 and the action power of point 8 are integrated by the insight of point 4. In the process of deepening the insight of point 4, type 2, will be able to recognize the hidden aspect, the beast. Riso and Hudson describe this process in the following way.
When healthy 2s go to 4, they get in touch with their feelings, especially their aggressive ones. They accept the presence of their negative feelings as fully as they accept their positive feelings. This does not mean that they act on their negative feelings when they are at 4, but that they are willing to acknowledge these feelings in themselves. They become more self-aware and reflective human beings.
The process from point 2 to point 4 is supported by the strength of point 8. It provides the true courage to face what they don't want to see, the beast in herself. That is, the strength of the beast is used to see the beast. In this process, the willpower of point 2 and the action power of point 8 are integrated by the insight of point 4, as illustrated. When retrieving processes in this figure are reversed, intellectualizing processes emerge, as illustrated. In the process from point 7 to point 1, as well as in the process from point 2 to point 1, some positive qualities of point 7 and point 2 are suppressed by the distorted intellectual willpower of point 1. In the process from point 7 to point 1, the action power of point 7 is suppressed by the willpower of point 1. This is the conflict between the id and the superego. On the other hand, the process from point 7 to point 5 is considered to be an integration process. In this process, the action power of point 7 and the willpower of point 1 are integrated by the insight of point 5. As discussed previously, the unhealthy willpower of point 1 tends to suppress the action power of point 7. But, the healthy willpower of point 1, which can make a wise decision, supports the deepening process from point 7 to point 5. That is, a boy, which is represented by point 7, is supported by his father, which is represented by point 1, in the process of becoming an insightful adult, which is represented by point 5. In this process, the action power of point 7 is integrated with the willpower of point 1 by the objective insight of point 5. We have discussed 4 retrogressing processes and 4 intellectualizing processes. When the structure of the retrogressing processes is rotated 120 degrees counterclockwise, the processes in that figure are superposed on the intellectualizing processes, as we can see. As already discussed, the process from point 5 to point 1, and the process from point 4 to point 8, are practicalizing processes. When these processes are reversed, secluding processes emerge. In these processes, people become unproductively imaginative and impractical. When the deepening processes are reversed, acting out processes emerge, which are the distorted shift from introvert to extrovert. In the process from point 5 to point 7, type 5 fails to sublimate his intellectual desire in his internal world, and he acts it out with the impulsive pleasure instinct of type 7. He acts impulsively, endlessly pursuing his intellectual interests. In the process from point 4 to point 2, type 4 fails to sublimate her aesthetic desire in her internal world, and she acts it out with the emotional willpower of type 2, which is starved for love. We have seen the deepening process in the thinking center and in the feeling center. But, in the instinctive center, there is no deepening process. The process from point 8 to point 1 does not exist. Even if there were the process from point 8 to point 1, it would not be a deepening process, because type 1 is not introverted, not an insight type. The integration of beast and God requires multiple processes, as we will see. Type 8, as the beast, is the most aggressive type among all the enneatypes. In order to bring balance to this tendency, the beast needs to integrate the quality of the angel. That can be accomplished by the process from point 8 to point 2. This is the ascending process, from the beast level to the angel level. Then, this process needs to be followed by the deepening process from point 2 to point 4. The insight of point 4 is needed in order to integrate the beast and the angel. In this state, the affectional will of point 2 operates the powerful action of point 8 in a constructive way. But this operation lacks wisdom on the intellectual level, and thus it may cause problems. For example, if a nurse who is full of love tries to perform a surgical operation without intellectual knowledge about surgery, the patient may die. In order to compensate for this lack of wisdom, type 8 needs to experience the next phase, the process from point 4 to point 1, as well as the process from point 8 to point 7, and to point 5, as illustrated. In these processes, the will power of point 1 and the action power of point 7 are integrated by the insight of point 5. Consequently, all functions are integrated. Alternatively, type 8 might experience the process from point 8 to point 5. This is one of the 4 intellectualization processes. Riso and Hudson describe this process in the following way.
The main enticement for 8s to go to 5 is that they see such a development as a tactical retrenchment from assertive action into the safety of thought. They think that they will be able to maintain their power by being shrewder and more premeditated. Instead of acting recklessly, they will attempt to act with more foresight. By being more secretive, they will be able to strike without warning. By being more wily, they will be able to hide from their enemies until they are ready to defeat them utterly.
As we can see, when type 8 develops the intellectual insight of point 5 without developing the conscientious willpower of point 2 and point 1, an intellectual sociopath might emerge. This is called the black beast. Type 8 has a tendency to have antisocial personality disorder, which is related to the underdevelopment of the superego. Therefore, in order to bring balance, type 8 needs to develop and integrate the superego of point 2 and point 1. Because the people with the type 8 personality have powerful energy, having great potential, if they experience the ascending processes and the deepening processes, they will be able to have the abilities to change the world in a constructive way. Related to this, there are many famous historical figures who are type 8, such as Franklin D. Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, Martin Luther King Jr., Mikhail Gorbachev, and Indira Gandhi. However, if they use their powerful energy in a distorted way, they bring great evil to the world. Because of this, Riso and Hudson said,
The two ends of the spectrum of their traits are starkly contrasting. When healthy, no other personality type has as great a capacity for exerting a constructive influence in the lives of so many people. But the reverse is that no other personality type can so completely misuse power or become so totally destructive as unhealthy 8s.
As we have seen, the integration of the out and the in of the instinctive center requires multiple processes. In this section, we discussed the integration of willpower and action power by the function of insight. Module 1, Section 3, Harmony. In Section 1, we discussed the essential ideas of will, action, and insight. Then, in this section, we will discuss essential harmony, which is composed of 3 essential ideas: hope, trust, and empathy. In the teachings of Ichaso, essential harmony is called holy harmony, and that is the holy idea of type 3. It does not include the holy idea of type 6 and that of type 9. The holy idea of type 6 and that of type 9 are called holy faith and holy love. On the other hand, the essential idea of type 6 and that of type 9 are called essential trust and essential empathy.
Question 1.
With regard to type 6, why is it that the term faith needs to be replaced by the term trust?
Answer.
In order for the Zeptoform theory to be a consistent and all-inclusive theory, the categorization of essential ideas needs to be me-see. Me-see stands for mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. With that said, the relationship between trust and faith can be seen in the following way. The concept of faith is included in the spectrum of trust. That is, faith can be seen as the deepest trust. In other words, faith is one type of trust. Therefore, in order for the essential ideas to be all-inclusive ideas, the term faith needs to be replaced by the term trust.
Question 2.
With regard to type 9, why is it that the term love needs to be replaced by the term empathy?
Answer.
As already discussed, in order for the Zeptoform theory to be a consistent, all-inclusive theory, the categorization of essential ideas needs to be me-see. The idea of love is not exclusive to type 9. The idea of love is also valued by type 2. Therefore, in order for the essential ideas to be mutually exclusive, the term love needs to be replaced by the term empathy. The essential idea of type 9 and that of type 2 can be seen as two complementary aspects of love. That will be discussed in this section. The holy idea of type 9 is called holy love. In the Zeptoform theory, it is called essential empathy, and that is represented by the heart of God. The heart of God is shining green. That is the essence of empathy and compassion. That is also called loving kindness.
Green and magenta.
Green and magenta are the colors of the heart chakra, and they are complementary colors, a pair of colors, in terms of afterimages. For example, if you look at this figure for a while, and then move your eyes to a sheet of white paper, you can see a reversed image. That is, a pink heart can be seen on a green background. This complementary relationship symbolizes the following. The essential quality of green brings about the quality of being lovable and growing up, like the quality of a baby. On the other hand, the essential quality of magenta, or pink, brings about the quality of loving and nurturing, like the quality of a mother. This relationship can be seen in various situations. For example, when you are watering a plant, you are expressing the quality of loving and nurturing, and the plant is expressing the quality of lovable and growing up.
Golden white.
When complementary colors are merged into one, white emerges. Likewise, when the green of point 9 and the pink of point 2 are merged into one, white emerges. This merging process is catalyzed by honey gold, which is another essential aspect of type 2. Then, this whole process produces the color of golden white as illustrated. This essential aspect is called universal love, or living daylight. Almas said,
Universal love is an expression of the harmony of the totality.
The essential idea of type 3 is essential hope. From the perspective of essential hope, the following essential qualities tend to be experienced. The pearl, which is also called the essential personality, or personal essence, enables us to function as an essential person. It functions as an interface that connects the transpersonal level with a personal level. By utilizing this interface, we can use any essential aspect effectively in society. The pearl grows by absorbing and metabolizing all essential aspects, enabling us to embody true hope. The pearl is also called the pearl beyond price. The value of the pearl is mainly based on amber gold. Amber gold was discussed in section 1, and that will further be discussed in the next section. Cyan is experienced at the throat, which is the location of the 5th chakra. It brings refined communication skills. By utilizing this capacity through the pearl, we can effectively motivate many people to seek the truth. As discussed, the essential idea of type 3 is essential hope. In the Enneagram theory, that is called holy hope. Then, in order to awaken to the perspective of holy hope, we need to awaken to the perspective of holy law. That is, the realization of holy law brings about true hope. Holy law is the law of harmoniously dynamic functions of reality.
Law and perfection.
In the structure of the Zeptoform, holy law of point 3 is connected to holy perfection of point 1. Then, the law of the universe can be seen as perfect. It brings about true hope. True hope, or authentic hope, is different from ordinary hope. Ordinary hope is the hope for the future, wishing for things to get better. It denies the now. In contrast, holy hope is the realization of perfect law of the now. The perfect law of the universe creates perfect harmony. Holy perfection of point 1 is the intellectual aspect of holy will. Then, the intellectual will needs to recognize holy law of point 3 in order to operate the whole universe. Almas said,
The perception that all changes in the universe are unified as one harmonious functioning is the perception of holy law, which we need to understand in order for holy will to be intelligible.
As described by Almas, the recognition of holy law is needed for the function of holy will to be intelligible. The embodiment of holy law is called creation. That is, the intelligence of God's will brings about harmonious creation of the universe, based on holy law.
Law and plan.
Holy law, of point 3, is the law of the unfoldment of the universe. Then, holy plan of point 7, is the harmonious pattern of this unfoldment. That is, the plan, or the pattern, of point 7, can emerge, according to the law of point 3. This relationship between the law and the pattern, is described by Almas in the following way.
There is a meaningful pattern to its unfoldment. This pattern is always explained by the dominant science of each era. For example, when clouds become dark in a particular way, and reach a certain temperature, rain falls. This is a pattern. The scientific laws explain this through evaporation, condensation, humidity, and so on. Holy plan is not a predetermined plan, but rather, that the universe unfolds according to inherent natural laws.
As we can see, holy plan of point 7 emerges, based on holy law of point 3.
Law and omniscience.
The logic behind holy law is called logos. It is the logical principle that governs the whole universe. This logical principle can be recognized from the perspective of holy omniscience of point 5. The insight of omniscience is needed to articulate the plan of point 7. Then, the plan of point 7 needs to be supported by the strength of point 8, which is the dynamic energy of unfoldment. As we have seen, holy law of point 3 is intrinsically connected to point 1, point 7, point 5, and point 8. These connections brings about authentic efficiency, and that is called the functioning mode. This is the experience of essential personality. However, as we will see later, the functioning mode can also be experienced in an unhealthy way. In this section, we have not yet discussed the holy idea of type 6. The holy idea of type 6 will be discussed in the next module. In the previous two sections, Ennead types are divided into will, insight, and action types. Then, in this section, we are focusing on harmony types. Harmony types are related to the function of the adapted child.
The adapted child.
The adapted child is considered to be one of psychological aspects, and it is related to the quality of harmony and disharmony. This psychological aspect has the function to assimilate into parental figures. Type 9, as an infant, has the tendency to assimilate into the maternal figure. That is, the adapted child of point 9 has the tendency to assimilate into the nurturing parent of point 2. Related to this, the relationship between type 9 and type 2 is described by Riso and Hudson in the following way.
There are a number of similarities between these types. It is usually average 9s who mistakenly think that they are 2s. 9s, particularly women, would like to be 2s because they believe that 2 is the loving type, and since these 9s also see themselves as loving, they feel that they must therefore be 2s.
As we can see, type 9 has the tendency to assimilate into the maternal figure of type 2. However, the characteristics of type 9 and that of type 2 are not the same. Type 2 tends to be sympathetic. That is, feeling for someone. On the other hand, type 9 tends to be empathetic. That is, feeling as someone. The difference between the sympathetic type 2 and the empathetic type 9 will be discussed in Module 7, Section 4. The adapted child of type 6 tends to assimilate into the quality of both type 2 and type 1. However, the characteristics of type 6 and that of these two types are not the same. First, we will discuss the similarities and differences between type 2 and type 6. Riso and Hudson said the following.
These two types share a number of key traits. Both are warm and engaging, and want to be liked, although, more precisely, 6s want to have the approval and support of others, whereas 2s want to be loved and to be important to others. Both ingratiate themselves with people. However, unlike 6s, 2s ingratiate themselves from an implied position of superiority. The implication is that they are offering their love and friendship, their approval and advice, rather than that they are seeking it from the other. In short, average to unhealthy 2s believe they will only get love by having others depend on them, whereas average to unhealthy 6s increasingly fear becoming dependent on others, while actually becoming more dependent.
Next, we will discuss the similarities and differences between Type 1 and Type 6. Type 1 tends to be authoritative. On the other hand, Type 6 tends to be loyal. Riso and Hudson describe the differences and similarities of Type 1 and Type 6 in the following way.
Ones are certain, and try to convince others that they know the optimal way to do things. 6s are uncertain, and rely on reassurance, backup, familiar procedure, or the sanction of previously tested ideas and philosophies to help them come to decisions. Both are should and must people, both feel obligated to take care of all duties before relaxing. 6s look outside themselves too much, for permission to act from an authority figure, or belief system, which will tell them what to do. 6s became connected with their protective figures. This was the person who occupied the traditional patriarchal position in the family. Most often this was their fathers, or a father figure.
As discussed, the adapted child of Type 6 tends to assimilate into the value system of both Type 2 and Type 1. Unlike Type 9 and Type 6, the adapted child of Type 3 tries to be independent from the maternal figure of Type 2. But it tends to assimilate into the authoritative paternal figure of Type 1. Then, there is a problem with the authenticity of Type 3. That will be discussed, in conjunction with the difference between Type 1 and Type 3. Type 1 tends to be authoritative, and wants to be authentic. On the other hand, Type 3 tends to be decorative, meritocratic, and pragmatic. Riso and Hudson describe the similarities and differences between Type 1 and Type 3 in the following way.
Average 1s and average 3s are sometimes mistaken because both types are efficient and highly organized. Both are highly task-oriented and tend to put their feelings on the back burner to get things done. Both share a desire to improve themselves and to meet high standards, although the basis of their standards and their key motivations are quite different. 1s are inner motivated by strong consciences. Average 3s, by contrast, are efficient pragmatists, primarily interested in success and prestige, trying to excel to overcome feelings of family shame.
1s strive for moral perfection in society, but 3s strive for the perfection of their own self-image, in order to get social status and recognition. That is, while 1s want to be perfect, 3s want to be seen as perfect. As already discussed, the adapted child has the tendency to assimilate into other people, especially parental figures. Related to this, Type 9, Type 6, and Type 3 are described by Riso and Hudson in the following way.
Their identity depends on their identifications with others. They live through others, or else, live through the real or imagined reaction of others to them.
As we have seen, Type 9, Type 6, and Type 3 can be seen as adapted child types. But they can also be seen as harmony types.
The instinctive center.
As discussed in Section 1, the out and in of the instinctive center metaphorically symbolize the relationship between the beast and God. Then, the middle of the instinctive center represents human, especially an infant. Type 8 is the extroverted instinctive type, having the tendency to release his or her instinctive impulses. On the other hand, Type 1 tends to suppress his instinctive impulses by his superego-driven conscience. Then, these two opposite tendencies are offset by each other to create the tendency of Type 9. That is, Type 9 tends to dissociate from their instinctive function. In other words, Type 9 as an infant tries to avoid the conflict between beast and God. Type 9 is considered to be the most out of touch of the instinctive function. Therefore, similar to Type 1, Type 9 is also not an instinctive type, by definition. As illustrated in this figure, in the structure of the Zeptoform, point 9 and point 1 do not belong to the doing center, which is also called the instinctive center. Point 9 belongs to the feeling center, and point 1 belongs to the thinking center. This structural transformation is one of the main topics of this module. A person can have the main type and a subtype. The subtype is located adjacent to the main type in the structure of the Enneagram. For example, two adjacent points to point 9 are point 8 and point 1. Therefore, Type 9 can have Type 8 or Type 1 as a subtype. The subtype is called a wing, and it is expressed by W. For example, wing 1 is expressed as W1, and wing 8 is expressed as W8. As already discussed, Type 9 tends to dissociate from the out and the in of the instinctive center. But, one of these qualities can be experienced as a wing. Wing 1 brings about intellectual thought to type 9. On the other hand, Wing 8 brings about the combative instinct to type 9.
The thinking center.
Type 6 tends to experience the conflict between the out and the in of the thinking center. It can be described in the following way. Type 7, as an extroverted thinking type, tends to focus on the activity of the external world, because he does not want to experience any anxiety in his internal world. On the other hand, Type 5, as an introverted thinking type, does not want to experience any anxiety in the social world, and thus he tends to focus on the intellectual investigation of the internal world. Then, Type 6, as an ambiverted thinking type, tends to experience anxiety in both the internal world and the external world. That is, there is no place for Type 6 to escape from the anxiety of the external world as well as the internal world. Because of this, Type 6 tends to be dependent on the authoritative father figure of Type 1. Then, there is the conflict between the out and the in of the instinctive center. That is, unhealthy Type 6 tends to use the aggressiveness of Type 8 in order to fight against the authoritative father figure of Type 1. In other words, unhealthy Type 6 tends to be both dependent and passive-aggressive against the authoritative father figure. Furthermore, Type 6 tends to experience the conflict between the out and the in of the feeling center. Now, we can see that Type 6 tends to experience the conflict between the out and the in of all centers. Also, unlike Type 9 and Type 3, Type 6 does not dissociate from these conflicts. As we have seen, Type 6, as an ambivert type, can have two wings. But, in general, one of the two wings tends to be emphasized.
The feeling center.
According to Riso and Hudson, Type 3 tends to experience the functioning mode. It is the combination of thinking and doing, or thinking and instinct, and it is estranged from feeling. Riso and Hudson describe the functioning mode in the following way.
When threes are in the functioning mode, they are competent, capable, and clear-headed, lending average threes their aura of cool professionalism. However, there are occasions on which they switch to their emotional side and feel things deeply. When they are in feeling mode, though, average threes cannot function very effectively, they can only feel. Many threes have reported that, even when they are in the average levels, not in unhealthy levels, they cannot function and feel at the same time.
When they are experiencing the feeling mode, they cannot function effectively. Therefore, they tend to avoid the feeling mode. In order to develop a mask of God, Type 3 tends to assimilate into the authoritative father figure, which is represented by point 1. But, as previously discussed, the motivation of Type 1 and that of Type 3 are different. The authoritative willpower of Type 1 tends to restrict the action power of Type 7 and Type 8. On the other hand, the willpower of Type 3 tends to utilize these action power for his functioning mode. Type 3 and Type 7 are both energetic and flexible for making plans and putting them into action. Type 3 and Type 8 are both ambitious and competitive. In order to make effective connections between willpower and action power, Type 3 tends to develop the intellectual insight of Type 5. But, the intellectuality of Type 3 and that of Type 5 are very different in terms of their motives. Riso and Hudson describe their similarities and differences in the following way.
The principal reason these two very different types are confused is that, some average threes, especially if they are intelligent, would like to see themselves as thinkers. Since fives are most stereotypically seen as the intelligent, thinking type, average threes may choose Type 5 rather than the type they actually are. There are many significant dissimilarities between these two types. Fives are just as likely never to seek fame or fortune for their discoveries or creations. Threes, by contrast, are not usually involved in subjects for their own sake. They may change their interests and careers rapidly, if the success and recognition they seek elude them. Moreover, average threes pursue their intellectual work with personal goals in mind, to impress others, to be famous, to be acclaimed as a genius, to beat a rival at a discovery, to win a prestigious prize or grant, and so forth.
As we can see, the intellectual insight of Type 3 is related to pragmatism. As we have discussed, Type 3 has the tendency to dissociate from the out and the in of the feeling center. However, he can have one of these qualities as a subtype. Wing 2 brings about warmness. Riso and Hudson describe this combination in the following way.
Threes with wing 2 are more outwardly emotional and friendly, helpful, and generous like twos, while maintaining the sense of poise and self-control cool characteristic of threes. Actors, models, and singers are frequently of this subtype.
Wing 4 tends to bring about the conflict between the pragmatic functioning mode of type 3 and the sensitive feeling mode of type 4. Module 1, Section 4, Essential Levels.
The 3 levels of truth.
According to A. H. Almas, Point 8, Point 9, and Point 1 are called the body of truth, the heart of truth, and the mind of truth. These 3 points can be described in the following way, from the perspective of the Zeptoform theory. From the bottom, the body of truth was initially located at the perineum, which is the location of the first chakra. But, it moved down to the calves. The calf is called the second heart, because its muscles work like a pump to push deoxygenated blood back up to the heart. The heart of truth is located at the heart, which is the location of the fourth chakra. The heart of truth is also called holy love. Point 2 and Point 4 can be considered to be part of the heart of truth. The heart is called the second brain, because its nervous system communicates with the brain. The mind of truth is located at the vertex, which is the location of the seventh chakra. But, it can go up to the supreme vertex. The location of the supreme vertex is identical to the entry point to the Ba. According to Tom Kenyon, the entry point to the Ba is called the Ba point. It is the entry point to the ultimate state, in which we can transcend space and time. Tom Kenyon described the Ba in the following way.
Your bar does not have a location in time and space, since it is transcendent to both. But it does have an entry point, which is about arm's distance above your head. If you were to raise your hands over your head, and touch your fingertips, your fingers would be in the vicinity of this entry point.
In ancient Egypt, the Ba is characterized by a human-headed bird, and it is flying out of the physical body. According to Tom Kenyon, it is considered to be the celestial higher self. In earlier periods of Egyptian history, it was believed that only the king had the Ba. But, in later periods of the history, the belief was changed. That is, every person has the Ba. Point 7 and Point 5 can be considered to be part of the mind of truth.
The structure of essential colors.
The Zeptoform represents the following color structure. Red, which is a warm color, brings energetic actions by activating one's instincts. Point 8 represents this quality. It is located at the calves, and is connected to the first chakra, at the perineum. Yellow, which is also a warm color, brings flexible thoughts to make flexible plans, which lead us to flexible actions. It enables us to free our instincts, as warm colors are related to instincts. Point 7 represents this function, and it is connected to the third chakra, at the solar plexus. Green, which is the neutral color, brings harmony, by calming one's emotions. Point 9 represents this quality, and it is located at the fourth chakra, at the heart. Cyan, which is a cool color, brings sophisticated communication skills. Point 3 represents this quality, and it is connected to the fifth chakra, at the throat. Blue, which is also a cool color, brings sharp insight, by clearing one's thoughts. Point 5 represents this quality, and it is connected to the sixth chakra, at the forehead. When the colors from red to blue of the spectrum are added, we obtain the following gradation. Starting from the bottom, the beginning is infrared. Because infrared is invisible light, it can be seen as black. Then, when this black is mixed with red, we can see red. Then, when this red is mixed with yellow, orange emerges. When this orange is mixed with green, yellow emerges. Now, we can see two different altitudes of yellow. The upper yellow on the left vertical line is the accumulation of wavelengths from red to green. On the other hand, the lower yellow on the right vertical line is the specific wavelength of yellow. That is, the upper yellow has wider wavelengths than the lower yellow. Point 7 of the Zeptoform represents the upper yellow, and it is connected to the lower yellow, as illustrated. When yellow is mixed with cyan and blue, clear light emerges. Clear light, which is also called brilliancy, contains all colors implicitly. That is, it contains the whole range of wavelengths, and thus it brings the idea of perfection. Point 1 represents this quality. It is located at the 7th chakra at the vertex, and is connected to the supreme vertex.
The mixture of red and blue.
Magenta and violet are the mixture of red and blue. These colors activate our hearts. The magenta, or pink, of point 2, can be categorized as a warm color, bringing forth warm-hearted affectional will. On the other hand, the violet of point 4 is categorized as a cool color, bringing forth subtle sensitivity, or aesthetic insight, as cool colors have shorter wavelengths. Shorter wavelengths represent subtlety and sensitivity. Point 2 is located on the right side of the body, and is connected to the left side of the chest, which is the physical heart. On the other hand, point 4 is located on the left side of the body, and is connected to the right side of the chest, which is the spiritual heart. The physical heart represents yang, and the spiritual heart represents yin. According to Ramana Maharishi and some other spiritual teachers, the spiritual heart is located on the right side of the chest. The gradation of red, magenta, violet, and blue represents integration processes. That is, the process from the red of point 8 to the magenta of point 2, and to the violet of point 4, and to the blue of point 5, are all integration processes. In the left figure, blue-violet is located at two different points. The one which is located under the blue is a mixture of blue and red, but the other one, which is located over the blue, does not contain the frequency of red. It has a higher frequency than blue light. But, our sight systems interpret these two blue-violets as the same color. On a computer screen, blue-violet is created by the mixture of blue light and red light. That is, in this figure, the upper blue-violet is substituted by, or imitated by, the mixture of blue light and red light. Ultraviolet can be seen as black. The same can be said for infrared. But, the former is the essence of intuition, and the latter is the essence of instinct. The difference between intuition and instinct will be discussed in Module 5. As already discussed, by adding the spectrum from red to blue, the color gradation of red, orange, yellow, and clear light emerges. In the process from yellow to clear light, yellow acquires the shining quality of clear light. That is, yellow becomes shining yellow, which is also called gold, and it is the essence of value. Because clear light has the quality of perfection, when gold acquires the quality of clear light, perfect value emerges. Blue light is coming into the golden clear light at the top of the arrow. Related to this, a blue diamond is considered to have the highest value. Also, a blue diamond has higher clarity than any other diamond. Like natural diamonds, the blue essence, which is pure consciousness, is experienced when the clouds of thought in our mind clear off. It indicates the increase in the clarity of a diamond. The relationship between gold and blue will be analyzed, step by step. In the diamond approach, essential qualities are considered to be the qualities of truth. But, Almas said,
all essential qualities are truth. However, we also find a particular essential aspect, that is the aspect of truth itself.
In the diamond approach, gold is considered to be the essence of truth. Then, the blue diamond enables us to see the gold essence as truth. Almas says,
the blue diamond makes it possible for us to discern truth. We are exploring the place of truth in inquiry, and understanding as an element in the diamond guidance. Knowing that there is such a thing as objective truth is fundamental to our process of inquiry. The capacity for direct knowing is related to the blue aspect, the aspect of consciousness and knowing.
As described by Almas, in order to know the truth, the diamond guidance needs to integrate the blue aspect, from which the insight of the blue diamond emerges. The insight of the blue diamond enables us to see the quality of truth. He said,
knowing essential truth means experiencing oneself, or experiencing consciousness, on the level of essence. When we experience our consciousness, which is the blue aspect, as truth, it attains a solid gold quality. This is because truth is the gold aspect. And, when our presence feels like solid gold, we are experiencing the presence of truth. So, truth is a golden presence.
In this figure, gold and blue are illustrated. From the perspective of the blue diamond, we can recognize the essential quality of gold. When we are seeking the perfection of truth, we tend to experience the ascending process from red to orange, to yellow, and to the brilliancy gold diamond. In this process, we experience the increase in value of truth. Because of this, the experience of gold, which is the essence of value, tends to be interpreted as the experience of truth.
Note 1.
As discussed, in the diamond approach, gold is not considered to be the essence of value. That is, in the diamond approach, amber alone is considered to be the essence of value. On the other hand, in the Zeptoform theory, amber is considered to be the essence of maturity, antiquity, tradition, and classic. When it acquires the quality of gold, it becomes amber gold, which is perennial value, or traditional value.
Note 2.
As already discussed, brilliancy is the essence of perfection, and that is experienced as the will of God. Then, the integration of brilliancy and amber gold brings about perfect value, which might be experienced as platinum. Almas said,
Platinum is the aspect of universal will. The brilliancy diamond.
When the wisdom of the brilliancy, which is related to type 1, is integrated into the wisdom of the diamond guidance, which is related to type 5, the brilliancy diamond emerges. The perspective of type 1 and type 5 are complementary, in terms of wisdom. Riso and Hudson described this relationship in the following way.
1s and 5s both correspond to Jungian thinking types, the 1 to the extroverted thinking type, and the 5s to the introverted thinking type. 1s are deductive, operating from principles to specific applications, 5s are inductive, operating from given data to form more sweeping theories. Both are philosophical, and love knowledge.
As described by Riso and Hudson, type 1 is deductive, and type 5 is inductive.
Deduction.
From a basic principle, deriving answers for individual issues. For example, the basic principle, or premise, of point 1 is reality is perfect. From this basic principle, answers for individual issues are deduced. Because of this, an average type 1 tends to be perfectionistic.
Induction.
From individual elements, or aspects, constructing a basic principle. For example, type 5 tends to observe many different aspects of reality. Then, he tries to integrate all aspects, in order to induce a basic principle, which is a theory of everything. By discerning all essential aspects from the perspective of omniscience, we can induce the structure of truth, including the Zeptoform. In this induction process, we can simultaneously use deduction. In the process of induction and deduction, the perspective of perfection is encompassed by the perspective of omniscience. That is, transparent light, or white, which represents perfection, can be treated as one element of the unified color system of omniscience. In this integration process, brilliancy of point 1 begins to function within the diamond guidance of point 5, which is called the brilliancy diamond of the diamond guidance. The experience of the brilliancy diamond is described by Almas in the following way.
The more inquiry needs the total functioning of brilliancy, the perfection and completeness, the more brilliant the guidance becomes. By becoming more brilliant, our inquiry attains greater intelligence. Through the operation of brilliancy in the guidance, our inquiry can become more brilliant, luminous, illuminating, penetrating, complete, comprehensive, and perfect in its functioning. Intelligence functions in the diamond guidance as the presence of the brilliancy diamond. The awakening of holy ideas.
According to Almas, the awakening of holy ideas is based on the awakening of the head center. He said,
Because the holy ideas are differentiated ways of viewing what is, they are conceptual and so are related to the higher intellectual center. To understand them on an experiential level, is to open the head center. The perspective of the holy ideas is the view of reality that arises when the head center is open, active, and functioning.
Point 1 and point 5 belong to the head center. Point 1 is related to the 7th chakra, and point 5 is related to the 6th chakra. In order to discern holy ideas on an experiential level in the clearest way, the brilliancy diamond, which is the integration of point 1 and point 5, needs to be functioning. The blue essence and the black essence are also related to the head center. Therefore, in order to awaken to holy ideas in the most effective way, the brilliancy diamond needs to integrate blue and black to form the blue-black brilliancy diamond. Then, in order to utilize the perspective of holy ideas in an effective way, in our society, the personal essence of type 3 needs to be functioning.
Question.
The realization of any holy idea is based on the awakening of the head center, as discussed. Having said that, the holy idea of type 9, for example, is called holy love, or the heart of truth. Then, you might wonder, the following. Isn't the realization of holy love, or heart of truth, based on the awakening of the heart center? The realization of holy love is also based on the awakening of the head center. However, when we awaken to holy love, we tend to experience essential qualities of love, which is based on the awakening of the heart center. That is, in this case, the awakening of the head center causes the awakening of the heart center. Then, conversely, the experience of love, which is the function of the heart center, deepens the understanding of love. This understanding is the function of the head center.
The brilliancy diamond pearl.
The pearl, or the personal essence, grows by absorbing and metabolizing all essential aspects. In this process, these aspects are integrated by the diamond guidance. It is called the diamond pearl, or the pearly diamond. When it contains the quality of perfection of the brilliancy, it can be called the brilliancy diamond pearl. 3 aesthetic qualities, brilliance, dispersion, and scintillation, will emerge from the set of surfaces of an ideal cut diamond. Likewise, the experience of these 3 qualities can emerge from the brilliancy diamond pearl.
Brilliance.
Because a diamond has a high degree of hardness, which represents invincible willpower, it can have sharp cut surfaces. These sharp cut surfaces, which represents the sharpness of wisdom, can reflect the most amount of light, which is called brilliance, representing the wisdom of brilliancy of type 1.
Dispersion.
Because a diamond has a high degree of density, which represents deep insight, it has a high refractive index of light. This refractive index of light, which represents the analytical capacity of wisdom, breaks transparent light effectively, and it manifests various colors of light. It is called dispersion, representing the wisdom of the diamond guidance of type 5. As we can see, brilliance is related to type 1, and dispersion is related to type 5.
Scintillation.
Relative motions between the diamond and its viewers can create intense sparkles, and these sparkles are called scintillation. The authentic actions of the essential person, or the pearl, can create relative motions in society, causing various essential aspects to shine through. It can be seen as the function of scintillation. As we have seen, the 3 aesthetic qualities of an ideal cut diamond are related to point 1, point 5, and point 3.
The integration of the 2 realms.
The womb realm mandala and the diamond realm mandala are the most valued of all mandalas in esoteric Buddhism. The womb represents love and support for growth. On the other hand, the diamond, which is also called Vajra, represents wisdom and invincible perfection. The womb realm and the diamond realm are represented by the heart center and the head center, as illustrated. The function of the womb brings us up to adults, leading us to the perfection of diamond. This is the integration of the womb realm and the diamond realm. The personal essence, which is also called the pearl, plays the central role in integrating the womb and the diamond. Related to this integration, Almas described his spiritual vision in the following way.
When the true personal essence is born, it is born in a golden cradle, covered with a sheet of green.
The golden cradle represents the merging gold of point 2. And the sheet of green represents the essential green of point 9. That is, the pearl is born at point 9, and this is the state of the womb. Then, the womb is integrated with the diamond, through the process from point 9 to point 3. That is, the mature pearl can be experienced at point 3. As we have seen, the personal essence, which is also called the pearl, plays the central role in integrating the womb and the diamond. However, this integration is not easily accomplished. In the Zeptoform theory, that is called the hierarchy problem. The hierarchy problem will be discussed in the next module.